we're going to look at these questions here together, okay? The first one says, look at the fifth row. So can you find the fifth row on the fractions at the top? Find the fifth row. So each one of these fraction bars is a row. Okay.
Right here, right here, right here.
So count down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going down. Point to the fifth row for me. Okay? Then it says, how many fifths equal one whole?
5.
So how do we write that as a fraction?
5 fifths.
Okay, so we're going to write 5 fifths. 1, 2, 3, eyes on. All right, can you write that as a fraction, Brooklyn? You wrote the words, but do you know how to write? I want a fraction like these up here with the numbers, okay? You too. I want the numbers, not the words. Well, all of you wrote words. I want you to write the fraction. When I say write a fraction, I actually mean with a numerator and a denominator, okay? And let's just review really quickly. What does the numerator, which part is the numerator? Is it the top or the bottom?
All the top.
And what does the numerator represent? If I have 5 fifths, okay, the numerator
represents the whole. Shape.
and the denominator, does the numerator represent the whole?
No, the numerator represents
Denominator. If we read this fraction, it means 5 out of 5 parts. So which part of this means the whole thing?
The denominator.
The denominator represents the whole thing, okay? So it means there's 5 parts in all. Do we have 5 parts on that row?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you count, the numerator represents the part that you are counting. And if we count all of the parts, then we have 5 out of 5, which represents one whole bar. Okay? Let's look at number 2. It says, which fractions shown are equal to 1/2? Can you find 1/2 on your bars? Okay? All right, so remember that we're looking at, Michael, are you pointing to 1/2? We're talking about 1/2 right here. So 1/2 ends right here, doesn't it? This would be the end of 1/2 because that's 1/2 of the bar. So we're looking for any fractions that would be in line with 1/2. Let's look. 3 fifths. Where's your fifths? Right here, right?
No.
1/5, 2 fifths. Does the 3 fifths line up with the 1/2 line?
No.
No, it doesn't. So 3 fifths is 3. Do 3/6 line up with 1/2?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 ends right here. Does that line up with 1/2? Do you think so? Yes. Do you think so, Lucas? So we could write 3/6 as a fraction. Show me 3/6, Lucas. Where's 3/6? Up here. Can you find 3/6?
I just wrote the word.
Let's put a comma, okay? And can you find another fraction on there that is equal to 1/2? What one? 1/6. Where's 1/6? Does that line up with your 1/2? So we're looking for something that lines up here. Lines up with 1/2. In other words, Brooklyn, maybe look at it like this. We're looking for fractions that equal 1/2 of the bar. Okay? So like we said, 3/6, 1, 2, 3, that part right there lines up with half. You see that? See that line? Look.
I came up
Here's
with
1/2. And where was 3/6? Right here? 1, 2, 3, and see how it ends right here and they line up? Do you see another one that lines up on that same line? What do we call the parts? Fourths. 2/4 lines up, doesn't it? So we could mark that one. Good. Michael, you found 3. Go ahead and write the ones you find, Lucas. Find the other ones that equal 1/2. You understand what we're looking for? Here's 1/2, right? And you, how do we write 3/6 as a fraction? You wrote 36, that's a number. How do we write it as a fraction like this? Write it as a fraction, 3/6. 3 out of 6 parts. Our bars here. Okay, these bars are the same ones that I have up on the wall up there. The same as the colored ones, okay? It's just easier for you to look at it on the paper, okay? So, first, let's just review. We have a fraction, okay? What is a fraction, first of all? What do we mean by a fraction? A fraction represents
Half of something?
does a fraction always have to be 1/2?
Or like equal parts. Always equal parts?
Equal parts of a whole thing. It could be a whole number, it could be a whole group, or it could be a whole object or shape. Okay? A whole cookie or a whole candy bar, a whole milk jug. Okay? Whatever the whole happens to be. Okay? Then, okay, so if we have, let's say we just have this fraction. Okay? First of all, what is the numerator? What number is the numerator?
2.
And the numerator is 2 and the denominator is 6. And what do those mean? What does that mean? The numerator represents what?
The denominator represents how many there are.
How many parts in all? Okay. So, we got to keep that in mind when we're thinking about fractions. Okay? Fifth row. So, each bar is considered a row. Okay, so count the 5th row down. Can you find the 5th row? Matthew, where's the 5th row?
Is it on the
How many fifths?
5?
How many fifths make the whole bar?
1/5.
So, I want you to write the fraction as a fraction, and you need to put the denominator on the line. Okay? The denominator sits on the line. Don't use that line as your fraction bar. Okay? So, in other words, if this is the line you're writing on, Gavin, okay? What's the fraction we're going to write? How many fifths make the whole? 5/5. So I want you to write it where your denominator sits on that line. Don't try to write it like this. Okay? I don't want the denominator below the line. You make your own fraction bar. Okay? So write 5/5 on that first line. Vincent, sometimes he did this. Is this okay to do?
Okay, you guys ready? Next one.
Does this still mean 5/5? Yes. If you don't have a lot of room on the line, Funston, if you don't have a lot of room on the line, you can make your slash like that.
Or in case if you
Here, Funston. Where's 1/2, Gavin? And if we're following the line down, where's the line for 1/2? Where does 1/2 end? Where's the bar? Okay, what bars are the same size or same length as 1/2? If you're done, put it in math and get the other on my own. Yes, which ones are equal to 1? Write them on the line. And put a comma. Words equal to 1/2. Are they in line with each other? Are these two bars the same? No? Do they come to the same place? Here's 2/4. Here's 1/2. Are they equal? Yes. So we're going to write 2/4. What did you write? Okay. Well, are 2/2 equal to 1/2? Is this is 2 halves right here. Is that equal to 1 half? Is this much equal to this much? No. So it's not 2 halves. Look at your picture. You're looking for something that is in line. Here's your 1 half. This is the half of the bar. So you're looking for something else that would equal half of the bar. Yes. Okay. What did you get? You got it, Winston. What did you get? Which did that to 1 half of the bar? We'll find something else that's equal to 1 half of the bar. This much. Is 2/4 equal? Yes. So write that on the line, please. 2/4. All right. Now I want you to find one that's equal to 1/3. Can you find a fraction that's equal to 1/3? All right, so next one is, which fraction is less, 7/8 or 3/4? Now we're gonna have to find, everybody point to 7/8.
Oh, Miss number 4. We're skipping from the 4, which is greater than.
Oh, sorry, 2/7 or 3/6. Which one's greater?
2/7.
Look at your fraction bar. Find 2/7. Where's 2/7?
They're equal. 2/7.
And I need to see everyone showing me 2/7. Find 2/7 and find 3/6. Where are those? Good. Which one's bigger?
Like about 2 inches. No, like 6. A centimeter. Yeah.
Why is 3/6 bigger than 2/7? Why do you think it's bigger? Why do you think it is bigger, Gavin?
Because the top number is 3, and the top, and 2/7, the top number is 2. 3 is greater than 2.
That would be a good philosophy if our denominators were the same. Okay? If we had 2/7 and 3/7, we could compare that way. We could compare our numerators. But when the denominators are different, we cannot compare that way. We can't look at the numerator then. We have to think about those denominator means how many pieces there are, and those pieces are going to be different sizes, right? Are 6 bigger or smaller than 7? 6 are bigger or smaller than 7? Look at your picture. Look at the 6 and look at the 7. Which pieces are bigger? No. Okay.
I don't understand.
Well, how do we know which ones are 6? What does 6 mean?
I know which one is bigger.
I know. What does 6 mean? The bar is cut into how many? 6 pieces. So which one is cut into 6 pieces? Which bar? No, which bar up here is cut into 6 pieces? Yes. Which bar is cut into 7 pieces? Which pieces are bigger? The 6th or the 7th? Is this piece? The 6th are bigger, aren't they? Yes, now you got it, Gavin. So now, that's why you can't compare when the denominators are different, because the sizes of the pieces are different. So you have to look at how many 6 you have and how many 7ths you have and decide which one has more, which one's more. So it's not like 2/7 and 3/7. I mean, 2/6 and 3/7 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have more. Okay, so let's look. 3/6. 1, 2, 3. The 6th are bigger and you have 3 of them. Or 2/7, which are smaller and you only have 2 of them. So which one's more? 2/7 or 3/6? Yes. Do you understand why now? Okay. Okay. Make sure you're using your bars up there and checking, okay? Look at your bar, Harmony. We're 7/8 and 3/4. It's in the box. Okay. Finish this one. Good. Okay, let me see what you have so far. Write all of the fractions that are equal to 1.
I'm not done.
Is 2/4 equal to 1 whole? How many fourths equal the whole? 4 fourths. Really quickly, let's just see if we can answer these questions. I want to go. This is our fraction bars that were up there on the wall. Equal 1 whole bar. Can you find that? So where's the 5th row? Why are they called fifths? There's 5. What? There's 5 equal parts in that row. Do you agree? Okay. So there's 5 equal parts, and that represents the denominator, 5 equal parts, and how many are we counting? The numerator means how many out of those 5. So how many out of 5 was it asking about?
Equals a half.
No. Number 1 says how many fifths. So how many of them equal the whole? Okay. And you can write it like this if you need to, with a little slanted line. Okay. You can write it like that. All right, number 2 says which fractions shown are equal to 1/2. Turn your paper over. Before we even look on the bar, what fractions were equal to 1/2? You remember? How do we determine a fraction that's equal to 1/2? The numerator? Phoenix has this down. How does he know? Maddie, how does he know that 4/8 is equal to 1/2? Because 4... Okay, go ahead and write the fractions that are equal to 1/2 on number 2. What ones are on the fraction board?
Okay.
Where have you been? Okay, you shouldn't be asking me to go to the bathroom when it's your group's turn. Okay? And I didn't know you were supposed to be there. What did you write here? Right here, 2 of these equals 1/2 of the bar. So you'd write 2 fourths, not 1/4. Look at your board. What'd you write here? 5. Okay. 5/10. Okay. So. And then put a comma between them, okay? And what's another one that equals 1/2, Maddie? Look at your bars. Yeah. 3/6 is equal. What other one's on your bar? So you did 2/4 is equal, right? To 1/2. What other ones are equal to 1/2? If you can think of others that aren't on here, go ahead and write them.
Okay, 61.
Okay, it does say how many it is. Okay. So what fractions are equal to 1/2? Good. You're just going to keep going, but if you're going on to your next line, it might be confusing. So the next one says, which one's equal to 1/3? What fraction is equal to 1/3? Can you find 1/3 up there? Mark 1/3. Where's 1/3?
Wait, 1/3.
Okay, now you're looking for something that's in line with 1/3. People at your seats, I should not see or hear you talking. And that's important. important, like on a test, if it asked you for more than one.
I got it wrong because I put it on 6.
No, you're right. Oh, that's okay. Just yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now look at number 4. Now we're going to compare two fractions. So we're going to look at 2/7 or 3/6. Where's 2/7? Where's 2/7, Gia? 7 parts. And what about 3/6? Where's that? 3/6. Mark that.
Can't find
Okay. Should you be looking at the denominator or the numerator? The denominator. 6 mean that it would be broken into
put the line right there.
3/6 at the end of the line, because you're talking about 1/6 is this part, 2/6, 3/6, then 4/6, 5/6, and then 6/6 would be the whole bar. Where did you write it? So you're putting your answer here. Which one's greater, 2/7 or 3/6? Please write it down. Go ahead and finish the page. Jesse, finish the page. Just 6 bigger than 2/7. Okay, and what do we know about when you cut something into 6 pieces or you cut something into 7 pieces?
7.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're cutting it into more pieces, so the pieces will get smaller. But you also have to see how many of those pieces you're using, because how many 7ths would be more than 3/6? How many 7ths would it take to be more than 3/6? Give me a fraction that would be more than 3/6.
3/7.
Is 3/7 more than 3/6?
5/7.
5/7 would be more than 3/6.
Where would I write that? 7.
Which one? 7/8 or 3/4, Maddie?
Which fraction show?
We're going to see if you guys, without talking, can come up with a fraction that would fit into one of these categories. Can you think of a fraction that would be less than 1/2, equal to 1/2, or greater than 1/2? You get to write your fraction wherever you want. The next person has a choice. Okay, so Macy's going to write a fraction. Then Bella has a choice. She can, if she thinks that Macy's is wrong, she can erase it and put it where she thinks it should go. Or Bella can add a different fraction to one of the columns. Okay? So Macy? This is less than Yep.
For a second.
Think about your denominator and your numerator. Did you write that correctly? Is
500 out of 1,000.
But you could have erased it and written it correctly. Okay. That could have been your turn. I'm wondering if anyone can do one in one of the other columns.
Oh, that was my turn.
Austin, without talking, we're seeing if we can add a fraction to the board. Something that would be less than half, equal to half, or greater than 1/2. Can you put one in one of the columns? Is that less than 1/2?
Then you need to switch that.
Why? We're looking for something less than 1/2.
Is that greater than or less than?
Less than 1/2. Because what is 1/2 of 6? 3. And 2 is less than 3, isn't it? So it's less than half. Okay. Giving you a little hint there. Greater than 1/2. What your fraction was going to be. How did you decide if it was going to be less than half? What did you think about? Macy? How did you figure out 2/3 would be greater than half?
Because I know third is uneven. All these are even.
Okay.
And then this was uneven. So I know 1/3 is less, but 2/3 is greater.
Because you knew it was going to go past 1/2. Okay. All right. So she was picturing on the line that 2/3 was going to go. 2/3 is going to go past the 1/2 line. Okay. Yes. Lucas, you're going to have to shut down your computer. Shut it down. Shh, listen. Okay.
So 1/3 would be less.
That if you're dividing something into 3 parts, she knew it wasn't going to be right at the half, and she was picturing the first third was going to come before the half, so she knew it was less than half. Good. That was good thinking. How did you know? Who did 5/12? Who wrote that one? Did you write 5/12, David? How did you know that was going to be less than half?
Because whenever I looked up there, I saw that 5/12 was actually 12s were smaller than half. So I said to myself, well, maybe this could be smaller.
How did you know 5/12 would be less than 1/2?
Oh, because in because 1/2 has
How many 12ths would have been equal to 1/2?
6.
So 5/12 would have been less than 1/2 because 5 is less than 6. Okay.